Hello guys, welcome to our PHP lecture 7. It's Silas Topsy here, your PHP lecture. Today guys, we're going to talk about two types of method that you can use to change your variable data type into another type. So we have got a PHP built-in function called SETTYPE function that you can use to change a variable data type, or you can use another method called type casting method, which is also very common to other programming languages. Without wasting time, my details are here on the screen, guys. If you need to contact me on anything, you can actually use my cell phone number or my email here. I will respond to your question or your query. The first thing first, guys, you just open your notepad, your text editor. I'm just going to open my notepad++ here. I will recommend also other text editors such as Sublime Text or Brackets. We have got free versions of those ones. But for student now, as a startup, I recommend this one, which is Notepad++. I want to paste my initial HTML code here. My initial HTML code, as you see, it have got two headings for today. The first one, which is changing variable data type using SETTYPE function method. And the second header we're going to talk about, which is the second method, changing variable data type using typecasting method. So in the first one, first, you know that it's a PHP code that you are writing. So I must have an opening tag for PHP. Opening tag for PHP, let me just write open tag for PHP, yeah? And also closing tag for PHP. Closing tag for PHP. So in this tag, inside this tag, I want to actually declare a variable. Let me just, you all know from our previous lectures that how to declare a variable, declare with a $sign. So I'm going to give a name to this variable. A name that I'm going to give is called variable. You know that PHP is going to recognize this value once you are to recognize the type of this variable once you gave it a value. So I just want this variable to be a float. So I'm going to give it a value, maybe let's say 10.23, so that PHP will recognize this as a float variable. After declaring, I just want to echo it first. Let me just echo this variable. Echo variable. I want to echo it. When I echo it, let me just concatenate it with a BR to send me to the next line. You know that BR is an HTML tag that will send you to the next line. Let me just BR here. Once I say BR, let me just end with a semicolon. After doing this, guys, after displaying this value, I want to set now this value using this set function to another type. From, the initial variable is a float, so I want to change it to another data type using that function. So I simply say set type. Set type is taking two arguments. The first argument is your variable that you want to set, which is my variable. So the second argument is the type, data type, which you want to set this variable into. For example, so I want to set this one to a string. So that type, you have to put it in quotes. So I simply write a string here. String. I want to set this one to a string. After setting it, I want to echo it. Let him just echo. Instead of writing, let me just copy the one that I have here. After setting it, I want to echo. Let me copy the one that I have here. Then I'll simply paste it here. I want to echo this variable. Then after echoing it, I want to call another PHP function called, let me just echo another PHP function called getType. getType will simply tell me what type of this variable is. So once I say getType will take one argument. That one argument is the variable that you want to determine the data type of it. So I want to determine the data type of this variable. So I simply put that variable inside and say getType of that variable. So it simply display the type of this variable. So once I say data type, let me concatenate this with BR. Let me just put concatenate to the string of BR. Let me just put double BR here. BR here. Then I'll end with a semicolon. This is how you use the SETTYPE function to change this variable to another type. For example, initially it is a string, it's a float, so I'm setting it from a float into a string. So this is how you change. Let me just copy the whole thing there so that I will demonstrate in different data type. I'll change this a variable to different data type. Let me just paste here. Let me press enter, then paste it here again. Let me press enter and paste it here again. The second one, let me change this variable to a float. Let me change it to a float here. I'll simply change here. The third one, let me change this variable to an integer. Integer, it's simply going to be changed to a whole number once I'll set this variable to an integer. Then the last one, let me change this variable to a boolean. You know, boolean is it would display only, it take the values and display only 1 or 0, where 1 means true and 0 means false. So this is how you set, guys, using the SETTYPE function method. Before I display this one, let me actually go to the second method, which is a typecasting method. So let me use the same variable that I declared here. Let me declare the same variable here. So before I put that variable, let me just put my PHP opening tag and closing tag for that method again. So my PHP opening tag is simply this question mark PHP. Then my closing tag is gonna be question mark, and then let me put my variable inside my PHP tag. My variable, I'm simply going to paste this variable is equals to 10. I'm going to use the same variable that I was using up there. So here, the first thing first, I want to actually echo my variable so that you will see the variable that I'm echoing, guys, whether it's having with that initial value. Let me just copy this, then I'll just paste it there. I'm going to echo my variable. Once I echo my variable, let me just put double BR on this variable when I'm echoing it, so that it will be having a space. I have to say BR, close it. Okay. How do I apply the typecasting method, guys? Typecasting method, I want to echo the value that will be changed. So typecasting method, you simply write the type in brackets, the type of the data, where the data in which you want to change that variable into. For example, I want to change this one into string. Initially is a float. Yeah, it's a float. So I want to typecast it into a string. So you simply write the data type in brackets, then you write the variable that you want to cast into that data type in front. So for example, I want to cast this one into that data type. Let me concatenate this one with a BR here. BR, I simply write this, then you put BR. It's an HTML tag that will send you to the next line. Okay, so let me copy this because I just want to demonstrate it in different data type. Let me copy this, let me paste it, Control V, then let me paste it again here. So the second one, I want to typecast this into, okay, I mistakenly deleted my closing tag here. The second one, let me typecast this data type into an int. You can type an integer or simply say int. Then the third one, let me typecast this variable, data type of this variable into a float. You can just write float. The last one, let me typecast it to a boolean. Let me just click boolean here. So this is how you apply the typecasting method. You write the data type before the variable that you want to change into that data type. Once you are done, you go and click your file, then click save as. Save as. Once I'm in save as, I click my C drive. I go to folder XAMPP. Then in this, I'm looking for htdocs folder. This is mine. Then once I'm in the htdoc folder, I click the new folder there. Then I will name it, give it my project name. Let me name it prog 7, then press enter. Then my code file, I'll name it project with an extension of PHP. Then I'll save it in my project folder, which is prog7. Open prog7 and save it. Once I save it, you see my project being displayed here. Then the next thing, I have to go and look for my XAMPP control panel. Once I'm here, I click my XAMPP control panel and make sure that I'll start my Apache. I'll click also the MySQL button. Once MySQL and Apache are started, then I'll minimize this. Then I'll go to my browser. Then I'll click my browser here. In my browser, I simply type localhost. My browser, simply type localhost / then the name of my project, which is prog7. Then I'll press enter. Once I press enter, I'll see the project displayed here. Then I'll click the project. Then I'll see everything is displayed. My first one, changing variable data type using SETTYPE, and this is a float, and this is string, and this is I'm being told by that function get type, this is a string, and here I'll set it to a float, and I'm being told it's a double. Here I'll set it an integer. It was rounded to a whole number, and it's an integer. And here it was actually, I set it to a boolean, and I'm given a 1 here, and I'm being told that it's a boolean. This is how you actually using this function. And this one, using a typecasting method, also is everything is displayed. First, initially it was a float. Here I was set it to a string, and here I set it to an integer. That's why it was rounded to a whole number. And here I set it to a float. That's why it was returned back to this with the decimal. And here I set it to a boolean. That's why I've got this one, guys. So this is how you actually change the data type of variables using these two methods, guys. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. I hope to see you in our next lecture. Thank you, guys.